you have a lifestyle right now that is bred off of convenience, and you already have habits in place that are detaching you or blocking your ability to put in other habits. So even if you really, really, really wanted to, it's not just about the discipline. You also have to make it easier for yourself to get to the goals that you want, and you have to make it harder for yourself to be tempted to stay the same. Hey friend, are you someone who is trying to read some more new books this year and the rest of 2024? If so, you've come to the right place. I myself have read a lot of books this year on mindset, self-development, wellness, holistic well-being. Most of them are self-help books. And so if you're looking to elevate your mindset, get out of a slump, get more happy, become more educated on finances, or develop your spiritual wellness journey, then I have books for all of those things. You're in the right place. So keep on watching and I'll tell you 5 essential books that I think that you should read that are life-changing. All right, y'all, so you should know that I am a huge self-development, self-growth type of person, and I enjoy consuming information that is all about growth and self-development. Therefore, all of the books I'm going to be talking about today are in the self-help genre. You know what? Self-help gets a bad rep. Self-help means what it literally says, helping yourself. But I don't think that it's bad at all to read self-help books, because it's really the author helping you with information that you probably could guess or figure out in years to come, but it gives you that information right now so that once you read it, digest it, kind of sit on it, maybe highlight the book a little bit, you'll really be able to grasp stuff that you would have taken years to realize just within these couple of books. And a lot of them are about spiritual growth, almost all of them, even though they're different topics. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I will say that I don't really have any of these books. I'm just looking at the list. I only have one of these books in paperback, the physical copy, and that's because I read most of my books on Audible. And this video is not sponsored, but Audible is a great way to consume books if you are not that keen on physically reading the book. And for me, myself, I drive a lot, so it's easy for me to listen to the audiobook when I'm driving and still consume the same information and actually listen back to it a lot faster, because I can consume it better for me, because I'm an auditory learner, hence why I love to talk so much. So Audible actually has a deal right now where you can get your first 30 days for free and read your first book for free there. So if you want to do that, I have a link to all of the books I'm going to be telling you about in the description box. And you can use that link to try out the Audible subscription if you haven't already. So the first book I'm going to talk about is a book called The 4 Agreements. And the author of this book is Don Miguel Ruiz. But this book talks about 4 major, principles of life that if you live in accordance to those agreements, which are the 4 principles, and you can kind of read the book or read a summary to find out what the principles are. But if you live by them, you'll have better boundaries. You will be able to know yourself better. And what I took from it is that a lot of the times we're just conditioned to think a certain way about ourselves, our upbringing, the people around us, and we make a lot of assumptions that the way that other people operate or the way that they treat us is a reflection of how we treat or how we think about ourselves. But what I took from the book, all in all, is that everything is a reflection, actually. You treat other people, you respond to other people's treatment of you based upon what you feel like you deserve. You treat other people with the level of respect and the level of integrity that you feel like you deserve for yourself, because everything's a reflection. We're all a reflection of each other. And there's been a lot of just conditioning in society where, because of the things that we've been told growing up by people who weren't necessarily the best teachers or the most educated or the most wise, that is just falsely representative of how a prosperous, abundant, and healthy life is supposed to be. And we've made certain agreements in our life currently that are detrimental to our health, mentally, psychologically, and also detrimental to our relationships. So this book was a great book to go inside of ourselves, or I definitely went inside myself and decided that there were certain tendencies or ways of life or ways of thinking that we're already agreeing to, but they're from the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind rules more of your mind than the conscious mind. And so let's see if I can read off these agreements for you. So just a quick summary of this book. It is a self-help book that outlines the principles of living a meaningful life, and it encourages the readers to be impeccable with their words, to not take things personally, to never make assumptions, and to always do their best. So those are the 4 agreements, basically: to be impeccable with your words, to not take things personally, to never make assumptions, and to always do their best. So I'll just give a summary of one of my favorite points of this was under not taking things personally. Everyone basically is living in their own dream or version of reality. And if you just think about how you view people from your own perspective, and you're never going to be able to view the world or anyone else from any other perspective than yourself, because we're living a human experience in a human flesh body. So if that's your perspective, then just imagine how other people's perspective is from their body looking outward to you and outward towards the world. And it's going to be a completely different perception because they're a different person. And that we all have a different response to the world and the information that the world tells us, so that we have a different version of whatever's going on in reality. So you can't blame anyone or even really get offended at anyone for the things that other humans do, because human beings are just going to be human. And the more that we accept that every single person is going to do what they want to do on their own time and the way that they want to do it, and there's no reason, honestly, there's no logical reason to get offended or take things personally, because nothing is personal. We're all just having our own experience. So how can we take things personally if no one can really truly know you personally? And so that was my ultimate favorite part of this book. However, all 4 of those agreements were awesome takeaways. And that book, mentioning that one first, was a great segue into the next couple of books. All right, so the next book that I'm going to talk about is The Courage to be Disliked, and the author is Fumitake Koga and Ichiro Kishimi. And this book was, I think, maybe the second or third spiritual or mindset book that I read, and it wholeheartedly, probably out of all these books, was the book that changed me the most, just because of how impactful it was. So first of all, this book is a conversation. It's a conversation between a young boy and a philosopher. The young boy, his perspective is that he wishes he could be a likable person. He wishes that he liked himself more. He wishes that his parents liked himself more. And he wishes that he could change, but he feels like in his mind, and he knows in his mind, that he doesn't have the ability to change. And that for most people, the way that it is if you are born into an environment, that is just how it is going to be for your life. And there's nothing that you can do about that, and there's not much control that you have. And the philosopher, his ideology is that when you look at Freudian versus Adlerian psychology, which Freudian psychology is like Sigmund Freud. I think he's known as the grandfather of psychology. And Adler is also a huge figure in psychology, but has a newer view or a more wider view of why trauma is trauma, and also why people do what they do, to sort of prove to the little boy, and the philosopher was using this psychology, both Freudian and Adlerian, to sort of show why anyone has the ability to change. And even if you want to change, there is a certain mindset that we have to realize that we're holding ourselves hostage to, that further intensifies trauma, that further intensifies negative experiences in our life, and that further intensifies negative relationships in our life, which we think is caused by just fate, and it's just the way that it is, and it's just life is life. But we have certain behaviors and attitudes and philosophies about life that are keeping us enslaved to these situations. And in order to be set free from that slavery or that bondage of whatever you feel like is holding you back so much, it is simply awareness. I know that sounds so simple, but it's a never-ending cycle of awareness, realization, and noticing what happened in your childhood is not going to have you set in stone for the rest of your life. However, it does impact the way that you respond to things, but it doesn't have to set in stone your whole rest of your life. And that's why this book was so impactful, because all of us have childhood trauma. And a lot of us think that the way that things are is just how it's going to be forever. But that is not true. It doesn't have to be true if you don't want it to be true. And if you can allow yourself to think that there's another possibility, the first step is to realize that you're holding yourself hostage. It's you. Like, basically. So yeah, that was a great book. The next book is one that a lot of you all have probably heard of, and it's by Eckhart Tolle, and it's called The Power of Now. Now, some of you all have known that I'm a meditation and yoga teacher, and that I teach about, in my meditation classes, I talk a lot about how your present awareness of the situation is the most important part of meditation. And that meditation is any time that you change your state of awareness with your mind, your body, or your breath. And it's super simple. It's not complicated at all. And if you're focused on the future, that's anxiety. If you're repeatedly focused on the past events, that's depression. Lingering in the past and focusing on the future is why anxiety and depression often come coupled together. But the only thing that is real and the only place that we can find true joy is in the power of now, which is why meditation for me became a real grounding point for me to be more centered, happy, and joyous. And this book basically talked about how to live a more meditative lifestyle all the time. And this book is pretty much a foundation, I would say, for how to live a more mindful life, how to live a more happy life, how to live a more joyful life, how to release the expectations that other people have on you, how to forgive yourself, how to notice the things playing in the background that are false representations of what you think about yourself, and just going into the subconscious mind and reframing a few things and noticing that there's so many distractions. There's always something trying to distract us, whether it is so much responsibilities that your boss hands you to your job, or whether it is so many responsibilities at home or stuff going on, tragic losses, just so many distractions going on, that even the ones that we choose to binge watch Netflix and consume all these Instagram ads that keep popping up and buying stuff on the TikTok shop, and it's just overstimulation. And we live in a society where anxiety and depression are like slowly climbing. This book helps combat the urge to constantly consume. And that was the greatest point of this book for me, is to not just consume, but just be. But hey, let's take a break real quick. If you all are enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're interested in getting some free resources for mindset shifts, mindfulness, and if you identify as a person who's constantly pouring into others as the strong friend, the strong family member, and constantly in overwhelm, burnout, and maybe a little bit of anxiety, I have a free resource for you. I do free mindfulness masterclasses on my website, blackandmeditated.com, every 2 weeks. And they're completely free to join. I would love for you to click the link in the pinned comment to join my next mindfulness masterclass, and I would love to see you there. So go ahead and click that link, and yeah, thanks so much. So the next book is called You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. And this book is still spiritual, and I'll tell you why. Because if you put 100 people in a room, just 100 random people, I bet you if you asked anonymously how many people have a great relationship with money, a great relationship, like you have no money problems, no debt, no anxiety over money, etc. You and money just kicking it, y'all good, you know. 99% of the people in that room probably would say, I have those problems. Like, I'm not good with money. Like, I don't have good spending habits. I don't have good saving habits. Money makes me anxious. I hate when the first of the month comes around, or I hate when the time to pay rent comes around, or that phone bill, or that car note, or the student loans, etc. I feel you. And this book, I've read about 3 times on audio, not even kidding. And I read it while I am driving to and from work because I have a long drive. This book is really about the customs that our family probably taught us growing up, religion probably taught us, or however you learned about money. Those customs and those belief systems highly affect how you see money. The most popular one is that money is the root of all evil. And even though a lot of us don't believe that phrase is true, a lot of us live like it's true. And it shows up in so many different ways. Number one, you might, when you get money, you hoard it. You are like Mr. Krabs. You're like penny pinching. You are so afraid to spend it that you end up in a loop of living maybe like paycheck to paycheck anyways, because it makes you anxious. So the fear of losing it makes you lose it anyways, right? That's one thing. Another thing is that every time you get it, you spend it, or you spend it before you even get it. That's another way it shows up. Another way is that you might view rich people or people who you perceive have a lot of money as stuck up, snooty, or just you view all rich people in a negative light. And those are like prime examples of how a physical object has allowed basically all of humanity, or all of humanity have allowed basically a physical object to become this root of evil, or of disgust, or of sleaziness, just because of a physical object. Now, I could say that I love Vaseline. Now, I use Vaseline all the time, and it's not focusing right now, but I use this Vaseline all the time because my lips be dry a lot. I could say, oh, I love Vaseline. I love using Vaseline, and I love it being on my lips. And I can say that I love pizza. I love eating pizza. I could say that I love my hair. I love my jewelry. I love wearing rings. But if I say I love money, that just that just turns people's faces like, oh, I wonder how sleazy that person is, or I wonder, it just makes most people, it would make you wonder about them. So if money is just another physical object, just like a jar of Vaseline or a ring or a piece of pizza, why is it that we have assigned such a negative, harsh view of money because of that? And even though there are scriptures also, that the scripture, is it Thessalonians, that says the root or the love of money is the root of all evil, and that greed, and even that scripture right there, greed is what is, I believe it's referring to. The possession of a thing doesn't make you more or less of a good human being, and the use or the amount that you have of a certain thing shouldn't make you more or less of a human being. It certainly doesn't make you happier. However, if you are saying that you want a certain lifestyle, for example, just think about the lifestyle that you want. Think about the things that you love to do that make you really happy, make you really joyful. I'll give you an example. I love cruises and I love traveling, especially cruises. I'd love to, ideally in an ideal world, I'd love to go on one cruise a month. European cruises, Caribbean cruises. And I'd also love to go to the day spa once a month too. Maybe even like once a week. Is that too much to ask? I can have anything that my heart desires. Because if God put it in my mind, then how would I not be able to attain it with the work that I put into it? However, what we've been taught is that we don't deserve a certain amount of abundance because we don't have the money to do that thing. However, if your ideal lifestyle is going to the spa once a week or going on X amount of vacations per month, you need money to do that, right? So let's not see money as like a demonic thing. Let's see money as an actual tool to get to the resources that we want to have. And there's nothing wrong with having a lot of money. So this book, in so many words, changed my whole mindset around money. And now I leave dollar bills. This is a $20 bill. And this was just underneath one of my decorations on my desk. And I leave these dollar bills around my room to remind myself that I don't have to spend every single piece of money that I get. And also to remind myself that money is abundant and there's no scarcity of money. There's no scarcity of money, just like there's no scarcity of abundance that you can have. You can have all the abundance that your heart desires. And whatever that looks like to you is perfectly fine. So hope that point got across. We don't want a scarcity mindset. We don't want a lack mindset. We want a wealth mindset that can be physical, mental, or spiritual. That part. And the last book that I'm going to mention is about your habits. You probably heard of this one too. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits is about how to form any habit that you want. I'll just tell you the biggest takeaway I've had from this book. Out of all of the tips that it gave about habit stacking and keeping yourself accountable and staying motivated. So most people think that if you, for example, want to stop eating out and you haven't stopped eating out, it's because you don't want it enough, or you're not motivated enough to eat out, or you're just lazy to meal prep. But this book changed my level of thinking. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you don't want to. You may want to so bad. It's just that you keep going out to eat because Jimmy John's or Subway is right next to your job. And every time you get off of your job, you already have put the habit in place that you're going to Jimmy John's or you're going to the sub place across the street because you have a lifestyle right now that is bred off of convenience, and you already have habits in place that are detaching you or blocking your ability to put in other habits. So even if you really wanted to, it's not just about the discipline. You also have to make it easier for yourself to get to the goals that you want, and you have to make it harder for yourself to be tempted to stay the same. Also, let's say if you want to lose weight and you want to start getting into the gym. You've never been a gym person, but now you want to start going to the gym. You want to start, you bought your workout clothes, you bought these new gym shoes, these new running shoes, you bought some sweatbands and stuff like that for your head to wick your sweat away. But you got the gym membership, but every time you get off of work, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. I feel so lazy. I don't want to go to the gym. Blah, blah, blah. Well, laziness is not the only thing. It's also your identity. So an athlete has no trouble working out at all. And it's not just because they're already fit because they're an athlete. How did they get fit? Because their mindset was that they are an athlete. And what do athletes do? Athletes work out. If athletes didn't work out, then they wouldn't be really considered an athlete, because you have to be athletic. So it's not only about your habits, making it easy for you to attain those habits, but it's also about your identity. Who do you see yourself as? Do you see yourself as a lazy person, or do you see yourself working out? Do you visualize yourself in your gym clothes? Do you feel confident attaining that goal? And do you pursue that goal with emotion? So the whole book of Atomic Habits was just debunking a lot of the things that we think are the reasons why we're not achieving our goals and our habits, but making it easier to achieve those goals and realizing that we're all in our own ways in some shape or form. But it's okay, because if you're educating yourself enough about how to get out of your own way, then you're already on the right track. So again, you can find all these books on Audible, and Audible has like a 30-day subscription. But if you have Prime, I think they have a 90-day free subscription, or free trial. That's what I meant. 30-day free trial if you don't have Prime. But if you already have Amazon Prime, then you get 90 days free trial. So that means 3 free books, and you can use the links in the description because I linked all the books that I talked about in this video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. What do you want to see next? And thanks so much for watching. Until the next time, I'm sending peace your way, love your way, and joy to you, your family, and your friends. All right, y'all. Peace.